Hello my darlings, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda and I'm the Enchantress of Avalon. So today's video is about the Queen of Wands archetype in tarot. But before we get into discussing the Queen of Wands, I want to give my regular reminders and updates about my business, because other than running this YouTube channel, I also have a business, White Rose of Avalon. And on whiteroseofavalon.life, you will find metaphysical services in the forms of tarot readings, channeled readings, mentoring sessions, and of course, my online class, The Melusine Mysteries, which just finished its first year in October, and it'll be opening for enrollment again in March of 2026. In addition to my offerings on my website, I do have a Patreon, Avalonian Rose Fairy Mysteries, which is a fairy mystery community, and I have exclusive blog posts and meditations, and I do some live streams occasionally over there, and I do tarot readings at the full moon for my Patreon members on my top 2 tiers every single month. So if you're interested in any of that, that stuff's always linked in the description box below. And also the last thing is that White Rose of Avalon does currently have a collaboration going on with the jewelry brand Otter Spirit. So if you're interested in that, I will link the video of me unboxing my Otter Spirit jewelry in the cards and also down below. And I could also link the blog post where I talk about that. And without further ado, let's discuss the Queen of Wands in tarot. So the Queen of Wands is obviously one of the 4 queen cards in the tarot deck, and she has been coming into my consciousness a lot more as of late. I find that there's always one tarot card that is just coming up a lot in my readings, or that archetype is just really present in my life. And more often than not, it's one of the divine feminine cards, you know, the queens, the empress, the high priestess. And that allows me to develop very personal relationships with these cards and these archetypes. So the Queen of Wands is such a potent energy. She's often considered the witch of the tarot, which I do agree with that interpretation of her as being the witch of the tarot. But she's so much more than just the witch of the tarot. She is this card who truly embodies alchemy and the alchemical process, because queens in tarot, at least by most readers, myself included, are considered to be the water element. And then of course, the wands suit is the fire element. So you're having that convergence between water and fire, which we would consider the alchemical process. And as an energy, as an archetype, the Queen of Wands draws others to her like moths to the flame. And this can mean drawing in opportunities, this can mean drawing in abundance, prosperity, drawing in anything that you may be seeking to draw in, which is what makes her archetype a very powerful one to work with. And as of late, the last couple of weeks, this really hit me like a ton of bricks, is the Queen of Wands being this kind of dragon priestess energy. So go with me here. The Queen of Wands is obviously a queen of the tarot. She is, again, that water element because of being a queen, and the fire element because of being the wand suit. But it just hit me that this alchemical process, this combination of fire and water, that's very draconic in nature. It is the dragon energy. It's the dragons that are both water creatures and fire creatures. They breathe fire, but they have an intimate connection to water and to serpents, because in the oldest of folklore and ancient tradition, we do see that serpents and dragons were often thought of as the same, as being kind of interchangeable. That's why the Ouroboros is either a serpent eating its own tail or a dragon eating its own tail. And there are traditions across cultures of water dragons, beyond the quite obvious fire-breathing dragons that we think of in, you know, fairy tales and what have you. So if she is the dragon priestess, she is that powerful force of burning away of obstacles that dragons can do. The fire burns away the obstacles and the water soothes the soul. And that's this energy that the Queen of Wands has really been coming into my consciousness as recently. And I really do think that that insight was something that Melusine herself granted me, because for those who might not be familiar with Melusine's legend, she is not just a mermaid or the fairy queen who built Lusignan in France. She's those things. She's many things. This is why I teach an entire class about her as part of my priestess work with her. But beyond that, Melusine does have a dragon form. She transforms into a dragon when the betrayal of her husband is revealed and she has to leave him. She does so in dragon form. She turns into a dragon and she flies back to Avalon. And I think that it was Melusine that kind of really gave me this information. It just made so much sense when this came to me. Of course, the Queen of Wands would have an association with dragons. And it's, I think, quite potent, and it's a potent way that we can work with her energy. Now, beyond that, let's see. I'm just looking at my notes. So next, I do want to share some of my favorite Queen of Wands cards from various decks. So this is the Queen of Wands card from the Llewellyn Tarot. And this is very much in line with being a quite traditional Queen of Wands energy. It is drawn very similarly to the Rider-Waite-Smith style, but in the artist's personal version of it. But the actual iconography very similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation of the Queen of Wands energy. But it's lovely. And Anna Marie Ferguson, the artist, is an incredible artist. So I love her art style. Next is from the Golden Tarot, and this is the Queen of Wands in possibly one of the most, if I can get the glare off the card, in possibly one of the most medieval styles you can ask for, because the whole deck is medieval style artwork. And I love this. Her crown is stunning, and I love that everything is in reds and golds, because I associate not only red but gold. I associate gold very strongly with the Queen of Wands energy. So there's that one. Then we have the Queen of Wands from the Bee Tarot. And again, that golden energy. She is bathed in gold. I do love that you could see that her throne actually is on fire up here. It's just very beautiful. And she's also holding fire in her palm. So that's clearly very magical and delving into that witch energy of being a magic wielder, being a fire handler in this case. Then we have the Queen of Wands from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And her energy is so much the playful energy of the Queen of Wands, because another aspect that I haven't mentioned yet is the Queen of Wands is a very gregarious card. She is drawing people to her. She's kind of a life of the party energy almost, and a great hostess, and she wants people to be happy and be within her realm. So this card definitely embodies that particular aspect of the Queen of Wands really well to me. And then finally, the Queen of Wands card from my absolute favorite deck, which is Le Tarot Arthurian. And this card features Igraine as the Queen of Wands. Igraine is, of course, the mother of Arthur in the Arthurian legends and also the mother of Morgan Le Fay in most versions. And this card is so lovely. She has her crown. She is wearing red, very traditional for the Queen of Wands. We do see a fire in the background, but she is in this very contemplative pose. She's just thinking. She is receiving. And that is another thing the Queen of Wands does. The Queen of Wands has already done a lot of the work. She's ready to receive whatever might come her way, blessings, abundance, joy, and again, that energy of drawing people in like moths to the flame. She is there and she's ready to receive that energy. And in the modern world, we often have, especially Western world, we often have this difficulty with receiving anything. We think we have to be doing, achieving, struggling. And that piece of the puzzle of, okay, no, I've done the work. Now I can sit back and relax and rest and truly receive the blessings and bounty that will come from all of my hard work. That receiving piece is really difficult for a lot of people. And I think that's something that the Queen of Wands energy can help teach us is, okay, you've done the work, now you can receive. The other queens maybe don't have that as much because like the Queen of Cups is so psychic in nature and she's always receiving. That's perfectly reception because she's the double water card. And the Queen of Pentacles is, I think, again, it's a little bit easier to receive because of that abundance and growth from the combination of earth and water. But with the Queen of Wands, she's done the work. She has that fiery energy still. So she's done the work. She's done that fiery part. And now she's going to sit back and receive the water aspect, the receptiveness, the masculine work has been done. The feminine receptiveness now takes place. And that is part of alchemy. That's part of magic. It's not about forcing and doing. Yes, you have to do, but then you have to be open and ready to receive what will come forth through your magical workings. And I also think that's why so many people say the Witch of the Tarot. And again, I do like that term, but I think she goes beyond the witch. I think she's the alchemical card. I think she's the dragon priestess energy. Yes. And let's see. All right. Finally, I want to go over a few ways you can embrace the Queen of Wands energy in your life. And the first one, which is really the most obvious, is meditate with the Queen of Wands. Meditate on the Queen of Wands card. Meditate on this energy. And journal about what the Queen of Wands energy means to you. What is coming forth for you? Maybe her energy isn't what I said it is. Maybe for you, it's a little bit different. We all have our own unique relationship to tarot, to the tarot archetypes, and to the decks themselves. And it takes time to develop said relationship. So, like I said, meditate with the Queen of Wands card and journal about the energy. That is the number one and really the simplest way to embrace her energy. Then next, water and fire scrying. So water scrying is one of my favorite forms of scrying. I also mirror scry a lot. And I'm a very watery person, so I'm going to gravitate towards that. But if you've never tried it, fire scrying is really quite interesting. And this can be done in various different ways. I like a candle flame, just literally staring at a candle flame, seeing what comes forth, seeing if you'll astral project possibly and gain messages, or just staring at the flame and interpreting meaning from the flame. And if you do a ritual of doing possibly both at the same time, water scrying then fire scrying. I think that's a great way to embrace that alchemical, watery and fiery energy that the Queen of Wands holds. And then finally, create a spell or ritual to the Queen of Wands energy, or utilizing the Queen of Wands energy to possibly draw forth more of that energy into your life, to embrace it more. Make it a unique ritual, whatever speaks to you at that moment. But I think that's a very potent way to work with the Queen of Wands in your magical and spiritual practices. So yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed this short video discussing the Queen of Wands archetype and a little bit of how I have been interpreting the Queen of Wands archetype as of late. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. And I'll link some blog posts like I always do in the comments below. So I hope you have a very wonderful day, everyone.